ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ओम महागणपतये नमः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमस्ते गणपतये। त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि, त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि, त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि, त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि, त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि, त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यं। ऋतं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि अवत्वं माम् अववक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवदातारम् अवधातारम् अवानूचानमवशिष्यम् अवपश्चात्तात् अवपुरस्तात् अवोत्तरात्तात् अवदक्षिणात्तात् अवचोर्ध्वात्तात् अवाधरात्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात्। त्वं वाङ्मयस्त्वं चिन्मयः, त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः, त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि, त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि, त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि. So we were looking at the Ganapati Upanishad, or Ganapati Atharva Shirsha Upanishad as it is called. Here initially we did Namaskara to Ganapati and then presented Ganapati as the manifestation of the Mahavakya teaching itself, Pratyaksham Tattvamasi. How Ganapati, the form of Ganapati itself, is a representation of the teaching of Tattvamasi. And then Ganapati was presented as the Jagat Karanam, correct? So the important thing here is the Jagat Karanatvam itself is understood differently by different theologies. So how the Veda presents Brahman as a Jagat Karanam is very important for us to understand, because that also explains our vision and our way of life, which is based on that vision. Okay. So our culture, which is a religious culture, is entirely based on this vision. So to understand Ishvara as Jagat Karanam, as the cause of this entire universe, is Ishvara like a potter who is away from the pot he has created, correct? If you go to the market and buy a pot, the potter does not come along with the pot. Is Ishvara like that? When we say Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, cause of this entire world, has Ishvara created this world and still Ishvara is separate from the world? Now most theologies, in fact, talk about Ishvara like that, correct? In fact, they even say God in heaven created this world. Okay, so that means God is separate now, world is separate, God is in heaven, and we have to go there. And we also, even in India, we have such theologies. Okay, so Krishna is in Golok Vrindavan, and Krishna has created this world. Or Shiva is in Kailasha, and Shiva has created this world. Or Vishnu is in Vaikuntha only. We all have to go somewhere. Okay, It's all tourism promotion. Now, is that how Veda is presenting? Means no. Because if you say God in heaven created the world, then who created heaven? And if before the creation of heaven, where God was, all these questions are all there. And how did God create this world? Where did God get the material? Did Ishvara had to borrow material from somewhere? Or you have to say Ishvara created the world out of nothing, which is again illogical. So how do we account for all these questions? Means the Vedic vision is very simple. Ishvara is non-separate from this creation. The creation is only a manifestation of Ishvara. So Ishvara created this world out of nothing else, we say. Okay, so that is an important thing. Now that vision only is presented again and again and again because that vision has to be assimilated. All that is here is not separate from Ishvara. Okay, so that means it becomes a matter or a subject to be understood. Okay, all that is here is Ishvara, including you, including your body, mind, sense complex. Means we have to understand that, and that understanding has to be assimilated. And once it is assimilated, it will transform you. Okay, this knowledge that all that is here is Ishvara means everything is in a certain order also we see, correct? So Ishvara is manifest as all that is here, all the different orders I see here. There is a physical order, there is a chemical order, there is a biological order, there is a psychological order, there is a moral order. Like this we can see all the different orders are there. That's why even scientists are able to study it. If there is no order, there cannot be any laws, correct? You cannot, if you increase the temperature, the pressure does not increase, then Boyle's law, Charles' law, things like that will not be there, correct? If there are no laws, then nothing you cannot study. If everything is happening arbitrarily, there won't be any niyati. That's what we call it as niyati, correct? Ishvara niyati, we say in Sanskrit. It is Ishvara's order. Only when there is an order, it can even be studied, understood. So this world can be studied and understood to an extent. Okay, how it works. But only our knowledge only goes up to the next how or next to why. Correct? Even like there is a famous methodology to find root causes called 5 why method. Okay, why, you keep on asking. If there is some problem in a factory or in some business process, we ask 5 times why. And then if you are able to answer all that, you arrived at the root cause. But why only 5 times? But if you keep asking why, we don't have answer after a certain period, after a certain level of analysis. But that is the limitation of our upadhi, correct? Our body, mind, sense complex. Because as an individual, I am limited in my knowledge. So, but all the individuals are also nothing but the manifestation of this Ishvara. And whatever you are doing also is because of the presence of Ishvara only. So this is what this vision is presented here continuously. You can see, Tvameva Kevalam Kartasi, you are the only one who is really the Karta. If you look at the total, then you are the creator of the entire thing. Or in each individual also, you are the one who is really doing, only in your presence, all the activities are happening. You are the one who is sustaining everything, and into you everything resolves back. So again here, Ishvara is both nimitta and upadhana karana. That's why the effect goes back into the cause, means only in a material cause that can happen, correct? There was gold, then bangle came into being. But even while the bangle is there, gold is there, because the very existence of the bangle is given by the gold. And even after the bangle is destroyed, the bangle has again gone back into the gold. Gold alone is there always. So that is the kind of understanding we have to have here. So you are everything, sarvam khalvidam brahma. Whatever is there here is you only as Brahman. And again, to see that truth is just a shift in your standpoint, how you see it, correct? So if you see the entire world as world made up of different elements, and you are one small dot, not even a dot, correct? Cosmologically, if you see, the measurements are so huge in terms of time and space. The earth itself is not even a dot. And what about myself within this earth then? Where do I fit in really in this whole scheme of things? So, but that's how it is when I look at myself as the individual. But really, I am not separate from the total also, correct? Ishvara is manifest as everything that is here. And when I see everything as only this Brahman, because whatever is appearing is only an appearance, it's all names and forms. And when we analyze it, it is not there really. It will all resolve back into the consciousness of the observer. So everything is only an appearance. This appearance of duality cannot hide the fact that all that is there here is one Sadvastu, one consciousness alone. Unlimited, limitless, infinite consciousness alone is there, which is manifest as all these names and forms. That is the teaching of the Upanishad. So all that is here is Brahman. And one who is seeing that, for that person, there is only Brahman is there. It is like seeing an elephant. Looks very, very real. It's about to attack you like that. On looking at it, suddenly you are afraid, because you are only seeing the ferocious elephant. But in reality, it is just a carving in wood, correct? Now, if you see it as elephant, the wood is not there. You are seeing different parts of the elephant. You are only seeing all the different parts, divisions, and how the elephant may attack you. If you see it as elephant, there is no wood, correct? It's only seeing. Whatever you see, your perception matters. So there's a beautiful verse in Tamil, Marattai Maraitadu Mamada Yanai, correct? The wood is covered by the mad elephant. So if you look at it as a mad, ferocious elephant about to attack you, you are not seeing the wood there, and you will only have fear. That is the case of the samsari. The one who looks upon oneself as a limited being, that person is seeing everything as separate and will have only fear, because you don't really matter. You are so small, everything is so big. Too many forces are acting and everything seems to be inimical. Even small things like viruses they are taking us for a ride, correct? It has changed our whole life, in fact. So if you look everything as separate and miss the unity, then there is only fear. But if you see it as wood, there is only wood, correct? There is nothing, there is no elephant in fact. So the elephant it has vanished within the wood. Marathil maraindadu Mamada Yanai. The mad elephant, ferocious elephant. All you have to do is look at it as wood, which is the truth. Means there is only wood. There is no trunk. There is no leg. Nothing. There is no huge body of the elephant. Everywhere only wood is there. If you see it as wood, it's only a change in your perception, how you look at it. Then there is no fear. The elephant has vanished into the wood. You don't have to break the elephant sculpture to appreciate that it is only wood, correct? That is jnanam, in fact. That is the knowledge we are talking about. That is the vision of a jnani. Even Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagavan says, Yanisha Pashyate Munehe. Like that, there is almost the end of the second chapter. He says, normal people, what is daylight for them is night for jnani. And what is night for a jnani is day for others and all that. That means the vision is totally different. Normal people are only seeing elephant, but the jnani is only seeing the wood there. So their reaction is totally different. So here, that's what we have to understand. So the Upanishad also is presenting the same vision again and again. Okay. So you are not only what I see, the objective world, but even the subject also is you. You are of the nature of the very subject, correct? Sakshad Atmasi Nityam also. So one problem with all this is that even if I say everything here is Ishvara, okay, I can put my hands out like this and show, and then it stops right at my body itself. But what about your body mind sense complex? That also is a manifestation of Ishvara, correct? So that way, first you have to be able to accept the whole creation as it is, because it is a manifestation of Ishvara. Whatever may be your likes and dislikes, you may like the world to be so different, but the reality is this is how Ishvara is manifest. Can you accept that? Whatever is there, you did not create any of these things. You are like somebody who has checked into a hotel, correct? Everything is taken care of for you. Great hospitality is there. So everything is given. You have to only appreciate the giver. So here, whatever may be your likes and dislikes, that's how Ishvara is manifest. That's how everything is manifest here. And one has to be able to accept that. So that part, initially Ganesha was presented as everything, including yourself. And then a prayer was there. We saw all that, correct? Protect us from all directions, up, down, south, north, east, west, even intermediate directions. Protect us from all around. Up to this we saw, correct? Sarvato Mam Pahi Pahi Samantat. From all type of afflictions which are coming from all sides. So here the affliction itself is ignorance only. Ignorance and its effects are the real afflictions, are real obstacles, correct? So that's how we look at it. So protect us from ignorance and all its effect, which are afflicting us from all directions, all over. Protect us. And here the us is both the, initially if you see, me, the one who is talking about, or one who is teaching this Ganapati Upanishad, and the one who is listening, the Shishya. So both the Guru and the Shishya protect both. The giver and the receiver, the one who holds it in his mind. The one who is repeatedly teaching and the student who is listening, like that. This part we saw. Now again, the Sarvatmatvam of Ganapati alone is revealed, because that is the thing which needs to be assimilated, as I told you. So in Vedanta, Punarukti is not a dosha. Repeatedly saying, in fact, the teaching itself is very simple. The teaching is only an equation. Tattvamasi, let us say, Mahavakya is there. Now this can be taught in 1 hour, or let us say 1 month. Afterwards, it's all only repetition, because there are so many questions. How can I be the Jagat Karanam Brahma? Tat is Jagat Karanam Brahma. Tvam is me, the individual. How can we have identity between the two? Means we can explain that. We can keep on explaining it again and again from different standpoints, different ways, different methodologies, till one assimilates that knowledge. Okay, there is a certain growing clarity is there in all these things. And more than that, even once you have the clear knowledge, it has to be always available, correct? Because the viparita bhavana, the habitual tendency which is already there, which is opposed to this knowledge, is so powerful, because it is there for so many lifetimes we have to take, or at least in this lifetime it has been there for so long. Because not naturally one's identity is as an individual, as a human being. Now that identity itself has to transform, it has to change, because the very individuality comes and goes. You think you are an individual, but if you are really the individual, if that is your nature, reality, it should never go away, correct? But individuality comes and goes. The individuality in the waking is not the same as the individuality in a dream. In the dream, you may be a totally different individual, and the individuality totally resolves in deep sleep. But I am there, because I slept, I dreamt, I am awake. The whole problem is because of this mixing up of the I with the individual. So I is my real identity. I, even though I have not actually analyzed and understood what that I is, but that is what we are going to do, or we are doing while studying Vedanta. But even without any analysis, I have taken myself, I place this I in so many places. I identify with the body, physical body. I identify with my physiological processes. I identify with my sense organs. I identify with the mind. All these identifications. So all these things are the sum total of which is my individuality, let us say. So I have an individual identity. But that individual identity itself is born out of ignorance. Because if that is your reality, that individuality should never go away. But that's not the truth. I know that my waking individuality is different from my individuality in sleep. There is no individuality, in fact, in sleep. The individual is gone, really. But I am there as a conscious being. So that is my real identity. I am the conscious being who is always aware of everything, to whom everything becomes evident. And I am there. That need not be established by any means of knowledge. I don't have to operate any means of knowledge to know I am there. I am self-existent, self-revealing, conscious being. In each and every cognition, I am the invariable. And my nature never changes as a conscious being. So I am the reality of both the subject and object, because the status of being a subject also comes and goes for me. Because it depends on whether there is an object and whether the mind is able to objectify that object. So this is what we have to analyze and understand. That nature that conscious being, which is limitless, in fact, this limitless consciousness is Ganapati. And that limitless consciousness is you. There is no difference, in fact. And that limitless consciousness is, from that only everything springs, everything appears. Correct? All that is here, you can say in one way, it's all words, correct? It's all words only. All that is here is names. Vak, we say. But here the vak, the main, the primordial sound, we say, correct? The first sound, Brahmaji uttered Om, it seems. Omkarascha Shabdascha Dvaveto Brahmanah Pura Khantam Bhitva Viniryatau Tasman Mangalika Ubhau. Like that, there is a sloka is there. Omkara, Brahmaji uttered Om, and then the Srishti started. So Om, Omkara, Pranava is the Vak. Okay, and then from that only all other sounds and in the creation have come like this. That Omkara itself is a representation, sound symbol for all the sounds. How it is and all we have seen, correct? So that Vangmayaha Tvam. So Ganapati, hey Ganapati, you are all the words which are there here. All the sounds which make up all the words. You are in that form, correct? Vangmayaha. If I look upon all the words, and you are the very nature of these words also, because without you there are no words. Whatever is manifest as sound also, it is all manifesting in you only. And you are Chinmayaha. And all the sentient beings, okay, so sentient beings are many, but consciousness is only one. That's what we have to understand. Even like in your own dream, there are so many people are there, animals are there. So there are so many sentient beings are there, but consciousness is only one. The waker's awareness only is the entire dream world. So this is repeatedly taught in Vedanta, even in Bhagavad Gita also. Even the analogy of a sun and all is given. Okay, Yatha Prakashayatyekaha Krishnam Lokam Imam Ravihi, like that. So this whole world is lighted up by one sun. At least our solar system we have to take. And that sun alone is reflected everywhere. That doesn't make that there are n number of suns, correct? So all other things are only reflections. Like that, there are so many sentient beings, but there is only one consciousness which is manifest in all these sentient beings, like even in your dream. So you are that consciousness which is manifesting everywhere as awareness, sentiency. You are that consciousness which is manifesting as all the sounds, all the words. And you are also Anandamaya. Tvam Anandamaya. So Anandamaya, Kosha also, if you take Taittiriya Upanishad. So Taittiriya Upanishad initially starts with Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahmavida apnoti param. The one who knows Brahman attains param, the ultimate moksha, freedom, limitless. And what is that limitless? It is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. What is that Brahman? Brahman, the Lakshana is given, Surupa Lakshanam. Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And then that from that Brahman only everything came. Tasmad, ye tasmad atmana akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu. Like that, we have all this whole beautifully it shows from this Atma, Brahmatma only Akasha came. From the Akasha came Vayu. From Vayu, then Agni, fire. Correct? So space, and then you have all the wind, we have to say, wind or gaseous world. From that fire, then water or all the liquids, and then the solid earth. And on the earth you have again food, and from food again body of the beings. आकाशाद् वायुः वायोरग्नि अग्निरापः अद्यः पृथिवी पृथिव्या ओषधयः ओषधीभ्योऽन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः. So from the food is born Purushaha, being, human being has come. Your body is nothing but food. Whatever idli, dosa, pizza, everything, bread you eat only is there in the body, correct? Or whatever your mother ate initially became your body. Later on you started eating. All that is there in your body. So this Annamaya, that is the Annamaya. Okay? That which is made up of food is the physical body. It is food only. It is Anna Vikara, you can say, or Annamaya. It is whatever food you eat only has become this body, correct? It is Annamaya, that's why. It's all food. But am I just the body? Means no. Anyontara Atma Pranamayaha. No, there is another self which is Prana. The physiological processes are there in the body. There is a life force, we have to say, correct? Body is alive. And for the body to be alive, there has to be prana. Otherwise, there is dead body only will be there. And dead body cannot last for long. It will even decay very soon. So there is a pranamaya, is there, Anyontara Atma. If we take the body as the self or I, but no, there is another I which is internal to this physical body or interior, we have to say, correct? And that is the pranamaya, that is made up of prana. That is all prana only. Pancha prana, we say. All these 5 types of prana is the one which is keeping the body functioning, alive. Okay, is prana then I? No. There is a manomaya. Mind is there. Mind is the one which is there and which knows the activities of prana. Correct? So, even interior to the prana is mind, which is emoting. Sankalpa vikalpatmanaha manaha. So, in the mind only all sorts of thoughts are there, emotions are there. Then, am I mind? Means no. Mind has all the thoughts, emotions, but there is a buddhi, which is the one which ascertains, which has knowledge. Okay. So that is Vijnanamaya, Karta. Okay. The one, the knower, the doer. That is Vijnanamaya, Anyontara Atma. Then Anandamaya. But why anybody is doing anything? Means Bhokta, enjoyer. Everybody wants to enjoy, be happy. That is the fundamental Purushartha, correct? To enjoy, to be happy. So that Anandamaya, is nothing but Brahman only. Brahma Pucham Pratishtha, like that the Upanishad, it starts with Brahman and beautifully it goes. Some people call it like Avarohanam kind of a thing, correct? Brahman From Brahman, the whole creation is shown, how the creation has come. And again, from within the creation, you then look what is interior, what is me really in this creation. Whatever I call as I, what is that? Is it the physical body? Is it the prana? Is it the mind? Or is it the discerning intellect? Or is it me as the one who enjoys? Correct? Because all these things are only for me to enjoy as the bhokta. Everything I do is for my sake. I want to be happy. So is it that happy self, loving, happy self, or the pleased self? That is you means no. The pleased self also is only an appearance. In reality, everything is Brahman only. The basis for all these things is Brahman. Even the pleased self is nothing but when you don't look upon yourself as a wanting person, correct? Then in that state of mind, whatever manifests, whatever emotions are manifesting, that is what we call as happiness, joy and all that, correct? When you are enjoying, when you are joyful, when you are laughing at something, nothing may have changed in reality. You still have the same coronavirus in the world. All your debts are still there. Whether your job will be there tomorrow or not, we don't know. It's all uncertain times. So all the uncertainty is still there. But still you are able to laugh, enjoy. You can keep everything in suspension. Because that at that time you are not looking at yourself as a wanting person. If you look upon yourself as a wanting person, lacking, limited, then it will only lead to sorrow, sadness, dissatisfaction. At least even if you say there is no sorrow or sadness, there is a certain dissatisfaction, there is a certain self non-acceptance is there. But when you don't look upon yourself as a wanting person, as a lacking person, then whatever is there is this Anandamaya. And that Anandamaya also is a manifestation of Brahman only. Okay. Matram upajivanti and all, even in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad it says, the Brahman is the source of all Ananda. And from that a little bit, Ananda only a fraction. With that, everybody is living based on that, it seems. Whatever Ananda we talk about in the Vyavahara, in the transactional world, whatever joy, happiness, etc. we talk about, it's all again Brahman only. It's all a manifestation of Brahman, which is the source of all happiness. Its very nature is one of happiness only, Ananda. So this Anandamaya also is Brahman, is Ganapati here, Tvam Anandamaya, Tvam Brahmamaya, also you are Brahman. So here you are Brahman as Jagat Karanam. Brahman as Jagat Karanam, then Brahman as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma also. Correct? So when we say Brahma Mayaha, because this Mayat Pratyaya is there, so we have to take it as Jagat Karanam Brahma with the Upadhi. And then in the next line it talks about Nirgunam Brahma. Sattvam Satchidananda Dvitiyosi. And you are Sat Chittan Ananda Advitiyaha. So all these different words are used. And these are all revealing words. Understand that. When we say Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda, the Sat Chit Ananda are all not some qualities sitting on Brahman. This is a very important thing to understand. It is not like saying blue, big, fragrant lotus. or lily, whatever, blue lily, correct. Blue, big, fragrant lily, Sat Chitta Ananda, Brahman. Is it like that? Means no. There, blue, we have to say blue lily to differentiate it from other flowers. Okay. Then, so even any quality or adjective we use only to differentiate something from others. Okay. The others may be Vijatiya. So Vijatiyebhyaha Vyavritta. Vyavritta, you want to differentiate it from other things belonging to other species itself. For that also we have to use a word, we have to use some adjective. Or we can use adjectives to differentiate something from things of the same species. Sajatiyebhyaha Vyavritebhyaha also we can say. So like this, to differentiate something from everything else and then reveal something, we can use all these Visheshanas, qualities. So to point to a particular flower, I have to keep adding all these adjectives so that finally we arrive at one thing, correct? That way I can reveal that flower to you. But though while revealing that, all those adjectives are there in that flower, you say. But in the case of Brahman, Brahman is also talked about as Nirgunam Brahma. There are no qualities in Brahman. So then why are we using all these words? We have to use all these words because only to reveal Brahman. They are all revealing words, but that doesn't mean those words are really pointing to some qualities which are residing in Brahman. It is more like to give you the correct understanding of what it is. They are revealing words, but the word's meaning itself is not sitting in Brahman. So for example, why we have to say Brahman is Sat? Otherwise, one may think there is nothing called Brahman, correct? Is there, Brahman is there or not means yes, it is there. So isness is there in Brahman as a quality means no. There is no isness or anything, but Brahman is existence. In fact, the word existence, the meaning of the word existence, again we have to understand correctly, because with reference to Brahman, when we say existence, also there can be a confusion. That is why other words are also required. Understand it. I can reveal Brahman by saying existence is Brahman, but still there can be some confusion. That one word, one revealing word alone is not enough. Why? Because normal understanding of existence is that something exists in space-time, correct? And whatever exists in space-time will come to an end. So is Brahman's existence like that? Will it come to an end? Means no, Brahman is Anantam. So when we have, then we have to read the word existence along with Ananta. Means it is not constrained by space-time. In fact, it is existence which transcends space-time. Space and time exists in that. The existence of space-time itself is a borrowed existence. It is the existence, although we say existence of Brahman, that's only a linguistic device, I would say, correct? There is no existence of this Shashti, this of itself is only a inadequacy of the language, we have to say. We have to use the usage, it's a linguistic usage, but it doesn't really mean that there is one thing and it is of another, correct? Brahman is existence. That existence is actually beyond space-time. It transcends space-time. Space-time is there in that. The very existence of space-time is Brahman's existence. It is Brahman only. That existence alone is reality. Space, time and all are only name and forms in that existence. And that existence, we say, but then is it Jada? It is sentient, insentient. It is of the nature of Jnanam. So here Jnanam is not regular knowledge. So the Chit, we say, Sat is existence. Chit, what is Chit? So Chit means, we say, sentiency, awareness. I am able to know something. I open my eyes, I see the laptop, I see the phone, I see a pot, I see table, mobile phone. I am knowing, correct? I am a knowing being. Knowledge is there. So this knowledge is the result of some mental activity of the sense organs. But then who knows that I know? That is also there. I see something, pot is, but I know pot also is there, that knowledge. To whom that knowledge is revealed, becomes evident. That conscious being is me, really. So Brahman as consciousness is the one which is revealing both knowledge and ignorance. I know also is revealed by this Brahman. I don't know also is revealed by this Brahman. That's why Brahman is neither knowledgeable nor ignorant. It is always a conscious presence. It is the knowledge of knowledge, we have to say. Correct? It is the way of the very nature of this knowing. When we talk about knowing or knowledge, the transactional knowledge is born out of certain activities of the mind and the sense organs and an object being somewhere. But that knowledge itself takes place and it becomes evident to which consciousness that we are talking about. That is the nature. Its very nature is of consciousness. Again, consciousness is not an attribute or a quality of Brahman. That's why the prajnana ghanaha, like that, Nal Upanishad uses the word ghana. In and through, it is only consciousness alone. There's nothing else. It's not something is there and on which consciousness is a quality. Like that, it is not. Understand that. It is consciousness alone. Even the word consciousness we are using only because we have to differentiate it from jada, from insentient things. Otherwise, it is as it is. So the words existence, consciousness, limitless, ananda. Again, in English they translate it as bliss and all that. Whatever. So ananda is ananda. It is the source of all happiness, joy. Because we are differentiating Brahman. People know sorrow, sadness. So is Brahman, is there any sadness in Brahman? Means even the individual sadness you feel, you know, is also due to Brahman alone. The joy you know also is because of Brahman only. Everything is, the source of all your joy is really Brahman. So Brahman is as it is, but we are using all these different words only to reveal its real nature and to understand that. Once you have understood the real nature of Brahman, all these words no more are really required. The words are required only to reveal. They reveal. They reveal by removing your ignorance, your wrong notions. Correct? and then the words also fall. The words are not required anymore. Once you have understood who you are, your real nature, there is no need of any words, in fact. Then everything is non-dual only, right? It's all Advitiyaha. There is only one consciousness without a second. That alone is reality. All others do not really count because everything else is only mithya. It's all only names and forms, appearances. What is there is one non-dual conscious being. All these words again we have to use only to reveal its true nature. Once you have understood that, in that understanding, all these words resolve themselves. Okay, that Brahman, again it says Tvam Pratyaksham Brahmasi. So you are that Pratyaksham Brahma. Again here Pratyaksham can be taken as two ways. Prati Aksham, you are the one who makes each and every organ, including the mind, function as they are. You are the, like Kena Upanishad says, okay, or even Bhashyakara uses in Brihadaranyaka Bhasha, he says, Drishte Drashtaram. That is Atma, he says. The seer of the sight, the hearer of the hearing, the taster of the taste. Correct? The smeller of the smell, knowledge of the smell, whatever, smelling, like that. That is Brahman. That consciousness which knows whether you are hearing or not, whether you are seeing or not. So, seer of sight. Drishte drashtaram. Shrotrasya shrotram. Manaso manaha. Vachoha vacham. Sau pranasya pranaha. Chakshushas chakshuhu. Like that. It is the ear of the ear. Mind of the mind. Like that we can. That is how in fact you can reveal Atma. There is no other way to reveal it because it cannot be revealed as an object. Understand that. This knowledge is about revealing the nature of the subject. But the subject cannot be shown objectively, correct? You cannot know the subject also as an object. The subject can never become the object. But there are wrong notions about the subject. It has to be removed. And also we have to, in the process, show the true nature of this self-revealing, self-existing Atma, oneself, correct? So that's why all these words are also used in a peculiar manner to point out your real nature. It's an indicatory. All the words are only revealing, indicatory. And once they have revealed, they also fall away. So here, Pratyaksham Brahmasi, or Ganapati is the manifestation of Brahman. Pratyaksham Brahma, the one whom you can see directly, direct manifestation of Brahman that we have already discussed. Rajaha, Ganapati, also Omkara Swarupa. Omkara is Brahman. So Ganapati is the manifestation of Saguna Brahma, Nirguna Brahma, both. Like that also we can see. So Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvanyānamayo Vijñānamayosi. So finally, this is the important point. Jnanamayaha, Vijñānamayaha. So all the knowledge which we have in this transactional world, they are all nothing but it's all only manifesting in you. Correct? Because you are the consciousness in which all this knowledge is taking place. and you are the one who is lighting up this knowledge. You are the one consciousness to which everything becomes evident, in whose presence everything is acting as they are. So Jnanam and Ajnanam both are revealed by whom? That Jnanam you are. And Vijnanamaya house. Vijnanam here you can take it as Tattva Jnanam. Jnanam you can take it as Samyak Jnanam. So proper knowledge also is revealed by you only. And even this Sattva Jnanam, the knowledge of oneself, reality, also is taking place, and it is revealed by, it is becoming evident only to you. So you are this consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanyam, pure consciousness, in whose presence all this knowledge, all types of knowledge is taking place. You are that consciousness. In fact, we even every day in the temple we do arati. We say, Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyam Agnihi Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. So this particular Vakya is there in the Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, and I think Katha Upanishad also, it repeats. So that's what Natatra Surya Ha Bhati. The sun is not shining really. Neither the moon is shining. Neither the lightning is shining nor the stars are shining. You are the only one. Consciousness alone is really shining. Because of consciousness only everything becomes evident. Everything else is only shining after. Consciousness alone is shining all the time. So Brihadaranyaka Upanishad beautifully says, Drishtahe Drashtaram, like that Bhashyakara also says, correct? So Viparilopo na vidyate, Drashtehe Drishtihi Viparilopo na vidyate, Viparilopaha. So the seer of sight, correct, or the seeing of the seer, Drashtehe Drashtaram, like that it talks about. So the seeing of the sight never ceases, it never comes to an end, because that's its very nature. Consciousness is always consciousness. It can never stop. It never comes to an end. And that's what Bhashyakara in the commentary says, Jnapti Matram. Jnapti, the word Jnapti he is using. Another, Jnanam itself is an abstract form only, but he is using another abstract form. So consciousness means it is the very nature of knowing, but without any activity and all that. That is its very nature. Jnapti Matram. And that nature can never change. That's why it is Satyam. That which never changes, that which can never be negated in all periods of time, that which is invariable. Once you have understood as such and such, it never changes. That alone is Satyam. And that Satyam is really this consciousness only. And Ganapati is that consciousness. That's how we look upon in this Upanishad at least. So that is revealed here. So here again, Sarvatma Bhava of Ganapati. Ganapati is everything. Ganapati is that consciousness which is limitless and which is manifest as everything. The same thing will again continue. Okay. So that we will see next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.